Hi, this is Dr. Tahir. In this video, I will demonstrate for you on how to run descriptive statistics using Megastat in Microsoft Excel. This is the second video of the series of videos that explain how to run statistics using Microsoft Excel in Megastat application patch. We're working with the same data that we used to run frequency distribution. And our Megastat is still available in the add-ins tab of the file menu bar. In order to run descriptive statistics, you would just go on into add-ins, click on Megastat, and click on descriptive statistics. If you're not sure how to install Megastat, or you don't see add-ins or Megastat, please watch one of my two videos, either the last one where I explain to you how to run frequency distribution. That is the first one of this series of videos, and I explain to you how to download and install Megastat. And I have also a separate video on how to install Megastat on Microsoft Excel. So now that you have Megastat, we clicked on Megastat Descriptive Statistics. Let's run the descriptives on the variable house size. The size of the house in square feet. That data is in column C, and you can click on this little negative sign, click on the first observation in that variable in a column. All the variables are always in columns and the data is in rows. You would click with your mouse, and while clicking you would drag it down to select all of the data. Once you've selected all of the data, you would go back into the main dialog box by clicking on that button. And in this main dialog box, what do we mean by descriptive statistics? What are the statistics that we run when we say run descriptive statistics? So here are the statistics that we're going to run. We want the minimum, maximum, and range. We pre-selected that when we were doing the prep work for the frequency distribution. We want the mean, and we assume that this is a sample. These are not all the houses in a real estate market, but only 105 houses sample. So this, we want the sample, standard deviation, and sample variance. We want the median. That's on the left hand side. On the right hand side, we want the 95% confidence interval. We want to apply the empirical rule, and we want the coefficient of variation. So we selected 4 statistics, descriptives on the left hand side: mean, variance, standard deviation, minimum, maximum, median. And on the right hand side we picked the confidence interval, apply the empirical rule, and coefficient of variation. The data is already selected. All we have to do is to click OK. Let me make this bigger. As soon as we get an output, we want to make sure that we rename the worksheet. So I would right click and rename the worksheet. Let's call this task 2. Let me make this a little bit bigger. On the bottom right hand corner we have this function of Excel. I made it 150% of the actual size. So let me go over and give you some analysis of the descriptive statistics that we found. We had 105 observations. The data, you need to know the context of the data. The context of the data is that this is a sample of 105 homes, and the variable is home size in square feet. We found out that the mean square footage in this sample is 2,223.81 square feet, with a variance of 61,831 shows a variability, but more precisely standard deviation, which shows the average distance away from the mean, average distance of each value away from the mean. So if the mean is here and you have different values all around, this is the average distance, and that's 248.66 square feet, and that's your standard deviation. We have our minimum 1600, that's the smallest home, largest 2900, that's the biggest home. The range of these homes is 1300. So I'm just describing what I found when I ran these descriptives. So once we define all of those, then we get to the confidence interval. That means with only 5% margin of error, with 95% accuracy, I can say that all of the homes in that real estate market, not just the sample, but all of the homes in that real estate market, all of the homes, every single one of the homes, there is a 95% chance that the mean square footage would be 2,175. Between that number and 2,271.93. So the mean of all of the homes would exist in between these two numbers. There's 95% chance. There's only 5% chance that the mean would not exist in between these two. So the data is a sample data. It's only 105 homes. So let's say there are 500,000 homes in this real estate market. We are predicting with 95% accuracy, based on the sample mean and sample standard deviation, we are predicting that the mean for all of those homes would be between 2175 and 2271. So that's the 95% confidence interval. We studied the empirical rule, and according to empirical rule, 68% of the observations should be within one standard deviation of the mean. In actuality, the data is showing 71, close enough. 95% of them should be within 2 standard deviation. We have 93, and virtually all of them should be within 3 standard deviation, which is the case with this data. So it seems this data is normally distributed and following the empirical rule. Now, coefficient of variation is a very important number in terms of variability of the data. 11.18% coefficient of variation means that the mean is 11.18% of the standard deviation is 11.18% of the mean. So 248 is our standard deviation, and 2223 is our mean, and that's 11.18% of the mean. The higher this percentage, the higher the coefficient of variation, the higher the variability in the data. The lower this number, the lower the variation. So this shows a very low variation, only 11% variation in the data as far as standard deviation's relationship to the mean is concerned. Mean being average, and standard deviation is the average distance of each observation from the mean. So then we have some other interesting facts. We have the first quartile, we have the median, which is organizing the data in an ascending order and picking the exact middle value. So smallest to largest, after you organize and pick the exact middle value, that is your median. And median of 2200 is very close to the mean. That also shows that there is less variability in the data when the mean and median are very close to each other. There are some outliers here as well, and you can talk about. So this is how you would do your commentary on the descriptives that you would run on the data that you have. So in this video, I showed you how to run descriptive statistics in Microsoft Excel using Megastep. In the next video, I will explain to you how to run correlation and regression analysis.